Hello dear students, welcome to all of you in the course of Introduction to Language Learning. This is the first lecture, the origin of language. Well, in this lecture we will discuss the different aspects of origin of language. Well, here is the description of different languages, that how different languages created in this world. Well, here is the outline. We will discuss the introduction of the perspectives of different languages, how they emerged in this world, the origin of the language, and different sources of language. For example, here is the divine source, natural sound source, oral gesture source, physical adaptation source, genetic source, and we will also discuss different other sources as well, just like tool making source and social source and genetic source as well. At the end we will conclude our discussion. Well, let's start. What is language? When and how language began? What do you think? The origins of language. No one knows exactly when or how human beings came up with spoken language. One hypothesis is that language began between 100,000 and 50,000 years ago with the advent of modern man, that's Homo sapiens. This is well before the invention of the written language, about 5,000 years ago. We have direct evidence and artifacts about writing. Well, here is the importance of language learning. Well, is everywhere language is there? What are the parameters of our thoughts and mediates our relations with others, creeps into our dreams and in it? And here is another importance, that language is relating to human knowledge and culture is stored and transmitted. So without it, all the above points are impossible without language. It means that language is very important, and whenever and wherever we used to go, that we need a language. Well, now we are going to start the different sources of language. The first one is the divine source. Well, the Genesis says God created Adam, and whatsoever Adam called every living creature was the name thereof. Well, in Islamic point of view, the Quran, he said, O Adam, inform them of their names. And when he had informed them of their names, in Surah Al-Baqarah, section 231 and 33. Well, on the other hand, in the Hindu belief, we came to know about the language. The language came from Saraswati, wife of Brahma, creator of the universe. Here is the another source, that in divine, that's the Christianity. In Christianity, language diversity is a curse to humanity. Well, in Quran, it is said about the language that the language is the basic source that was created by the God, and he gave the knowledge to their humans in the form of Adam. Well, and he taught Adam the names of all things. Then he placed them before the angels and said, Tell me the names of these, if ye are right. Well, here is another surah, Surah Ar-Rahman. Well, if we look over here, the highlighted in the red font is Allamahul Bayan. He has taught him man, speech and intelligence. The divine source basically is a real fact, and we should know about each and everything that God has created in this universe. The fact is that the children who are deprived of any language cannot learn any language. Here is the basic assumption of divine source theory. If human infants were allowed to grow up without hearing any language around them, then they would spontaneously begin using the original God-given language. Well, here is the story, and here is the experiment of King James. King James IV Scotland carried out a similar experiment around the year 1500, and the children were reported to have spontaneously started speaking Hebrew, confirming the king's belief that Hebrew had indeed been the language of the Garden of Eden. The divine source basically was the thought of the first language, but children discovered living in isolation do not confirm these findings but grow up with no language at all. Here is the criticism about the divine language. The divine source is impossible to disprove, and the first language is impossible to reconstruct. Here is another source, the natural sound source. The natural sound source basically comprised on different points. These are primitive words are considered to be imitations of natural sounds that people hear around them. The natural sound a bird makes is argued to have been used to describe that particular animal. The fact is that in many languages there are words such as drip, click, meow and honk that sounds like what they mean, supports this claim. Not every sound is onomatopic in languages. Well, here are some theories: natural evaluation, ding-dong hypothesis, poo-poo hypothesis, bobo hypothesis, Tata hypothesis. Well, if we talk about the natural sound source, then here is the suggestion that primitive words could have been imitations of natural sounds which early men heard around them. We already discussed about the natural sounds, that there are kaka and koko sounds, and different other sounds are relating to natural sounds. Well, here is the person Max Muller, who gave the different perspectives about the language, that some theories of origin of language that are created in this world, that these are the Bobo theory. According to this theory, language began when our ancestors started imitating the natural sounds around them. The first speech was onomatopic, marked by echoic words such as moo, meow, splash, cuckoo and bang. The problem here with the Bobo theory was that how reference was made to soundless words and abstract concepts. The next one is the you, he, who theory, that is based on the notion that speech arose from physical environmental needs which produced communal rhythmical grunts which later on developed into chants. Original sounds may have started as natural cries of emotion such as pain, anger and joy, ah, ouch, hey, yeah, wow. And next one is the poo-poo theory. Well, the invention hypothesis regarding poo-poo. Poo-poo hypothesis, humans' first words were derived from spontaneous expressions of dislike, hunger, pain, or pleasure, just like ha 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 ha, wah wah. Problems here is regarding the poo-poo theory that that's a very small part of any language, different from language to language. Well, just like in English, the different words carries different meanings over here. Well, invention hypothesis regarding the ding-dong theory. Ding-dong, humans named objects, actions and phenomena after a recognizable sound associated with it. The first human words were a type of icon, a sign whose form is an exact image of its meaning. Here are some examples in English. Boom, that's meant explosion. Tan, that heart. Chinkok, Indian. And I, that's meant knife. Well, the next one is the Tata hypothesis. Charles Darwin theorized the speech may have developed as a sort of mouth pantomime. The origin of speech was used to imitate the gestures of the hand. The first words were lip icon of hand gestures. Same problem as for onomatopoeia, different gestures in different cultures, crossing fingers for good luck in English and versus Russian fig gestures, nodding no in Greek versus yes in English. Even Darwin himself thought this was a little implausible. Well, here is the necessity hypothesis, that necessity is the mother of invention, that people created these hypotheses for the sake of necessity. Well, natural cries of emotions, just like pain, ouch, anger, ah, disgust, yuck. These are produced with intakes of breath, but normal spoken language is produced when air is exhaled rather than inhaled. The next one is the physical adaptation source. Here is the basic assumption. Physical features basically relating to human possess, especially those that are distinct from other creatures, may have been able to support speech production. Here is the example: bipedalism. Our ancestors made a very significant transition to upright posture with bipedal on 2 feet locomotion and a revised role for the front limbs. Here is the bipedalism example over here. The oral gesture source. The next one is originally a set of physical gestures was developed as a means of communication. Then a set of oral gestures specifically involving the mouth developed for expressing the ideas. Here are the 3 examples given over here. Physical gesture. In physical gesture we can exclude hand, but in physical gesture we can include different the shapes of mouth, including the lips, teeth, and different sounds we produce. Well, human beings are genetically with some physical features that are responsible of producing speech sounds. Here is the social interaction source. In social interaction source, language arose out of the rhythmical grunts of people working together involved in physical effort that has to be coordinated. Yo-he-ho theory. Early humans may have developed a set of grunts, groans, and curses used when lifting and carrying trees and other things as well. Makes sense, as early humans must have lived in groups, which requires some form of organization and hence communication to maintain development of language placed in a social context. The next is tool making source. In tool making source, basically two important things were used: use of hands and use of brain. Humans started making tools and manipulating objects using both hands. Manual gestures may have been precursor of language. Oral gesture theory, beginning words together like bringing two rocks together to make a tool. They use the brain. They just wave hands and use of brains. The function of object of manipulation and for speaking are very close to each other in the left hemisphere of the brain. They use brain from in the form of left hemisphere. There may have been an evolutionary connection between the use of tool and the use of language in early humans. Well, here is the genetic source. According to Chomsky, language is partly innate and partly acquired. He uses the function of the brain innate. He says that LAD, language acquisition device, is the basic black box that is used for learning a language. In genetic source, young babies go through almost automatic developments from small brain, higher larynx and lowering larynx, standing upright and walking, talking. Even children who are born deaf become fluent speakers of a sign language. Well, here are some other things which are discussed about the genetic source. A crucial genetic mutation arose which gave humans the unique ability to produce and understand language. This means that language is innate, hardwired, pre-programmed, universal in form, and the innateness hypothesis as well. Well, why do people speak different languages if they first had one language? This is the open question. Well, the real reason for language is that the people need language to communicate with each other. Hypothesis regarding language diversity. Was there one or more than one original language? Was there one or more than one invention of language? There are approximately 6,300 languages spoken on earth now, and even greater numbers spoken in the past. Well, basically there were 6 languages were spoken: the Roman, German, Indian, Iranian, and Celtic, Baltic, and Latin language. The origin of language, here is the chart, the different theories and characteristics and criticism, and the development. That the divine source was created suddenly, and the next one is the natural source, sound source was developed gradually, and the social interaction source, yo-he-ho, that was developed gradually, and the next one is the physical adoption, is the same here, that created and developed gradually. And the next one is tool making source. Same is the case with this theory as well, with this source as well. And the next one is the genetic source that was developed suddenly. Here is the conclusion. All the presented theories do not precisely demonstrate what is the origin language, but that is clear cut. In the past, people were only able to some gestures and produce a few sounds. These are the references If you have any questions, you may ask. Thank you.